welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I am Sophia Mendoza, and I'll be your moderator for our panel today. We are going to be learning so much about Spotify, the global leader in audio entertainment, but mostly we're going to be learning about the vision of the future of kids and family audio. So are you all ready for that? All right. I know you're ready over here. How about over there? Are you ready over there? Okay, great. Well, let's get started. And before we do that, I'd love to welcome our panelists. So we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. Is this on? We're great. Hello, everyone. My name is Verdell Walker. I am the head of kids audio at Spotify.
And hi, I'm Jane Zumwalt. I'm a senior manager in the Soundtrap program, which is Spotify's podcast accelerator program for underrepresented voices.
Hi there, I'm Michael Bell. I'm head of sales for Soundtrap for Education, which is Spotify's digital audio workstation that is used by kids and families in school.
Hi, my name is Falk. I'm a colleague of Michael's and the other ones, of course, as well, but specifically at Soundtrap. So I'm heading up Soundtrap for Education.
Wonderful. So I am told this is the dream team. So let's give them all a big hand, everyone. Excellent. Like I mentioned earlier, this session is really all about unpacking the future of kids and family audio. But before we dive into that, I'd like to make sure we talk about our audience, our kids and our family. And this is really for everyone here on the panel. Why do you all think that children, family, and let's not forget about our creators need to have this space to learn and to thrive? And also think about what are some of the benefits that we have for them.
Yeah.
All right, I'll kick that off. I think when it comes to audio, like this is such a rich and emerging space for kids and families. It creates an opportunity for co-listening. So, my overarching goal for the kids at Spotify Kids and Family is to elevate audio to be equivalent to video in families' media and consumption diets. When families are sitting there thinking about, let's go to turn on Netflix or let's turn on YouTube, like I want them to think about audio, an audio experience as part of their like media and entertainment diet as well. So when it comes to children too, audio provides like so many kind of like learning benefits. Like if there are any educators in the room, y'all can speak in more detail to to me about what audio does in terms of brain development for kids. It sharpens their listening skills. It helps them with vocabulary acquisition even before they become actual readers. It helps, it makes them use their imagination because they're not relying on visuals so much, right? There's so much that you can do that speaks to child development. And honestly, listening to something is just the oldest form of storytelling. Like that's where storytelling began. It's a very intimate medium, and I think it really lends itself to a co-listening environment for families to come together and enjoy something together. And if I can speak really quickly to the creator side of things as well, like candidly, it is a challenge to make audio experiences and podcasts, because think about what it takes to create. How do you create an engaging story that draws people in and keeps them there without relying on visuals? That is an interesting creative challenge. So if you are a filmmaker or if you make TV, like I always just tell creators who've never been in this space, like this is a chance to really flex a muscle that you don't really get to use in other mediums, right? It's just a very interesting creative challenge when you kind of think through the sound world and sound design of what we're creating. And you'll hear me, and I'll shut up in a minute too and let my colleagues talk, but you'll hear me not really use the term podcast, because I actually kind of don't like that term, because when you hear that, you think about like an interview show or a chat show. I always talk about what we're creating as audio experiences, because that's what it is. It is a 3D audio experience that is meant and designed to bring people in. So you'll hear me use that vocabulary a lot. Audio experience. I'm trying to make that thing happen. I'm trying to make that happen.
Audio experiences. I love it. We'll do it. Yeah, I think you said everything so wonderfully. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. As a parent, when I see my kids watching TV versus experiencing audio, just the level of engagement is so different. It's reaching them. It feels like it's just for them because it's in their ear, and they're using their own brain to make those pictures. So I think when you said you want people to think of audio as much as TV and film, as a parent, I want them to think of it more than that. I think also for the creator, it's just an opportunity to reach kids and families and tell your story in the oldest way that people have told stories. And you don't need to have as a young creator, you don't need to have the proficiency in writing. If you can tell your story in audio, you can use podcasting to get that across, audio experiences.
Thank you.
You're conditioning me, I've got it. I think also serving families, audio is with us now. It's ubiquitous. We can turn it on in the car, we can turn it on when we're doing other things. For families, this can be their aid in, entertainment and education, but also in navigating like the complex and beautiful things in life together as a family through these experiences anywhere at any time.
I think all of that is a +1 over here from the Soundtrap team, but I think to extend on that, there's two interesting things that's happened over the last couple of years, which number one is media overload, as we've all been stuck at home behind our computers and behind our televisions, and thinking about different forms of media to communicate through has been really powerful. And I think we've seen over the pandemic lots of amazing stories be captured and shared. I think it brings me to another point, which is when you hear audio and you see Spotify, often our minds go to music. And what's really important to me as a former educator is thinking about, music is extremely important, but how do we bring rigor and complexity to our classrooms with tools like Soundtrap and the audio space? And that makes me think of speaking and listening standards, our English language learners, and the role of oral daily language objectives in the classroom, ways that audio technologies can really help elevate through listening and speaking, all of those skills. And I think that's what's so exciting to me about audio is obviously continuing to empower music creators, but there's this whole new world now of thinking about how storytelling and audio experiences actually lead to rigorous instruction and real student outcomes when we deal with everything from extremely diverse learners like we see here in California.
You guys nailed it. Not much to add, but I can say I'm a huge fan of radio theater. I listened a lot to radio theater when I was a kid. And now there's like this lots and lots of podcasts going on. I think I really, really like that Twitch when you combine music creation and audio effects with the storytelling. I think that's super, super interesting. And I think in addition to having that you have to create your own pictures, etc., as you were mentioning here, I think it's also good that it gets focused, because you don't have to worry about the imaging when you're creative in audio. You can sort of focus on that experience on own, because it's large enough, and it actually makes it more interesting, I think, to a large degree. So that's I wanted to add. I think for the rest of it, you nailed it.
Yeah, well, to take that idea further too, in classrooms, what we see is audio experiences and storytelling start with writing and start with big ideas and learning. You don't just sit down and start, maybe some people sit down and just start talking. Most of us sit down and script, and we write, and we create an outline, and all of these are standards that we see in English language arts classrooms and that we know our students need to work on. So I think the audio experience is the final product of really amazing learning that can lead up to it to produce theater, audio experiences, and amazing music and podcasts. So,
Wow, thank you. I hear so many themes, running through here. Everything from like early learning, early literacy, including the standards. The International Society for Technology and Education standards, the Creative Communicator standard, and just thank you so much, Verdell, for helping us reframe audio experiences. So, did everyone hear that? Audio experiences. All right. Okay. Good. With that, Verdell, I want to bring it back to you. You have recently released a slate of some exciting family shows and content, at the start of 2022. What were some of the goals that you and your team are aiming to achieve for all of this dynamic content that you're producing right now?
Yeah, again, the number one goal is to audio, video. Okay, make that equidistant to each other. That's the first goal. And the second one, and what I routinely impress upon my team, is child delight. We are in the business of entertaining and edifying kids. And everything is rooted in making them happy and entertaining them. Like, I don't care how educational something is, how nutritious it is or whatnot. Like, no parent is gonna force their child to interact with media that doesn't bring them joy. And I think in a world that continuously gets scarier and more stressful by the minute, fun is a need too. It is very much a need. And I think that, it's easy for kind of content creators to lose sight of that. Sometimes you need to ask nothing more of a child and of a family than to have fun. And that's okay. And that we put that at the center of everything that we do at Spotify Kids and Family. The third thing is being parents' partner. There are so many jobs to be done to come alongside parents and helping them raise kids that I call it mind, body, heart. So I used to work for Sesame Workshop, right? That's how I started this journey in kids entertainment, and we called it Smarter, Stronger, Kinder there. And so I've kind of repurposed that into mind, body, heart, touching all of those parts of a child and the families that are around them. So whether it's entertaining your child, whether it's like helping them learn something about the world around them, whether it's giving you a minute to go to the bathroom by yourself. That is also a job to be done for parents. So like, it's really coming alongside parents and being their partners in raising strong kids. And lastly, the representation angle. Like, I know that gets a lot of lip service, but I truly live and breathe that in what I'm doing with my team. And we'll talk a little bit more about that with the Sound Up Kids and Family program. But podcasting is very white. It is, audio experiences. Audio is very white. It's, it's people who are upper middle class, right? Like my whole goal is to open doors for people who don't necessarily get heard. Families deserve to hear themselves represented in this content, and they deserve to learn about people who are different from them. I think, if anything, these past couple of years have taught us is that there's a tremendous need to raise children who care about themselves, who care about other people, who care about their community and the world around them. You really want to help them learn to have empathy for other people, and media and stories is a way to do that. And representation is not just in the stories too, it is in front of and behind the mic. So the content that we create, our partners, I ride them really hard. It's like, you will find me diverse writers. You will find me creators and producers and audio engineers who are from historically excluded groups. And, when people come to me with different ideas and I'll give you an example just to make this a little bit weird. This was weird. This pitch that I had gotten, it was about art and art history. And, the creator had a number of different episodes that focused on Western art. And I told him, I said, excuse me, this isn't gonna work for me because everything here is European focused. And where is ukiyo-e from Japan? Where are miniatures from the Islamic traditions? Where is all of that? And, you know, he didn't have a good answer for it, but he went back and redid the pitch. But, you know, that's my moral duty in this seat, is to make sure that that kind of thing happens all the time and to press people. It happens more than you would think it does, but representation is a big preoccupation for what I'm trying to do with this slate of content.
Those are such meaningful, impactful, and just really relevant goals. You know, let's bring back the joy. Are you all ready to bring back the joy? Yes, let's bring back the joy, ensuring our parents are our partners with us and growing those great humans and representation. So you all ready to support the representation as well? Yeah? Okay, all right, come on.
I like the snaps.
All right,
Dig the
good.
finger snap, yeah.
Following up with both Michael and Urban, our Spotify team, you know, has a plethora of tools, and you mentioned our Soundtrap. For, you know, there's so many tools our creators can utilize right now, and Soundtrap, you know, being one of them. It's just, you know, an incredible resource. You know, we've utilized it in our district, and we have just found our students really thriving in that space. And, you know, our educators from around the world, you know, have access to this. You know, what's the importance of equipping educators with these tools to express themselves through audio?
Well, I can start. I think it's the sort of toolbox that we're adding another angle to what you do with being creative, as we talked about earlier there. I mean, just the ability to be able, for example, to do your recording and then get a text version of it, to work between text and audio, is one thing that I think gets you in some new leverage for people that want to do that. And in difference to video, for example, some people are just not. They don't want to express themselves on video. And audio gives them a really, really good way of being creative and getting their voice out in a different way. And then there's lots of sort of techie stuff around that. But I think that is sort of the main thing, I think. And then also, to your point, having different types of content, making sure that we do have, if we have an instrument pack, we actually had early on, we had mainly sort of European classical instruments, for example. That's all changed now. So I think that's a super important impact that we can also have and provide. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think those are great insights. If we zoom out and think about what you just shared, Verdell, about really pushing your producers and writers and all the people creating content for you to be diverse and bring a lot of different perspectives, it raises a question on, have we really empowered and trained those people to have the same skills to make it an equal playing field? And I think we can all agree the answer to that up until recently is widely no. It's not been an equitable education experience or access to art. And I think at Soundtrap, what we're really interested in is thinking about how do we make sure students of all walks of life, all backgrounds, have access to high quality, powerful tools like Soundtrap so that they can be the ones pitching to Verdell one day. And that to me is why I do this work, and I think why we're sitting up here today, and why we work with LAUSD. And to me, that's one of our most exciting partnerships because of how diverse LA is. And I know one day one of your students will be sitting on this panel or will be pitching to Verdell, and I would hope that that is because we provided them with access to tools like Soundtrap. So I think for me, that's where I think of it from a systematic point of view. If you don't want to have to always be pushing back for the next 30 years, bring me more voices. I think it starts with how are we training and empowering our youth to have the skills and confidence needed to make it in the creative audio space. And I think that starts with providing access to tools like Soundtrap in the classroom.
Yeah, and even actually also to make it easy so that you kind of remove all the barriers. Like that's one of our key things is to make it, to sort of not remove the whole cockpit experience of a music studio, make it sort of so you can focus on your creative aspect instead.
Audio production has been deeply entrenched in systems of racism, all kinds of class issues. I think about Hollywood even, and we're just south of that. I mean, for so long, you needed to know someone or have access to $100,000 recording studios just to be heard and just to have a chance to have your voice elevated to the world. And I think Spotify as a larger company has started to disrupt that model, and tools like Soundtrap and the initiatives like Sound Up and the content that Verdell and her team are creating and publishing show that that's not the case anymore, that the best voices should rise to the top, not just the ones who have a connection or born into the right family or have the right resources. And so democratizing music making and storytelling is really our mission. And I think from the classroom to ultimately profession, I really see Spotify supporting that mission across the board, and that's why we're here.
You know, on that note, Michael and Urban, I'd like to chat a little bit more about the next generation creators. You know, you alluded to that. How do both Soundtrap and Spotify, that partnership, because it's a really strong partnership, how does that play a role in the creators of tomorrow? I mean, they're here today, but what are we going to do for them?
Can I pass that to Jane? Because I think
yeah.
Sound Up is a perfect example.
Yeah, let's do it.
You can pass that to me. I think so. Sound Up is Spotify's creator accelerator and our podcast education training program at Spotify for underrepresented voices across the world. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. We started in 2018 in New York with a week of in-person training because at the time Addison was showing about 20% of podcasts were authored and hosted by women, and if you wanted to talk about women of color, it was abysmal, single digits. And Spotify was entering this audio revolution, and we didn't want to leave creators behind. We knew we had to do better. And so we offered this week of in-person training, and we got 18,000 applications. So we had a feeling we were kind of onto something. 5 years later, here we are. We are now in 12 countries. We serve different communities in different countries where we are across the world. We've served about 300 creators, and 40 of them, at least so far, have published podcasts that you can listen to now. More than 15 of them have gotten direct offers from Spotify to produce and distribute their content. And so we've worked really hard with our industry partners to develop and tailor a curriculum. We adapt it locally wherever we go, taking in mind culture and language and what's relevant in the industry there. But we are trying to serve adults. Our programs are for 18 plus, but maybe they've missed out on some of the great things that are in schools now, to enter podcasting as a storytelling medium and to help give Verdell the creators and producers that she's looking for. Our training takes about 5 months now. It is a mix of virtual and, hooray, back to maybe in-person programming this year. And we take them on a journey from understanding their story concept. They apply with just an idea. No experience at all is necessary. We want to bring new voices to the medium. And we take them on this training from understanding their show from beginning to episode maybe 300, however far they can take it, what their audience is, what their message is, who they want to reach and why. Why do they love it? How can they sustain this? Because being a creator isn't easy. We provide them with all the tools they need to make a podcast, computers and equipment, and we train them on tech and editing. And this is why I love my Soundtrap colleagues, because they have built the perfect platform. It is completely accessible to start. It's a great playground for learning editing, but then it really grows with the creator. They can make something really complex and beautiful and still stay within the same world. It's been a great backbone for our training and for our program. And then we pair them with external production companies so they can be mentored and make their first episode, their first pilot of an idea on their own. So then after the program is over, Spotify will support some of these projects, and then some will go on to sell to other companies. We don't care, we just want them out there, or they'll produce the content on their own. And then we'll support them after the fact with resources, with ongoing trainings and mentorships, because we really want to give them all a leg up. And I think also part of our training is a new program called Behind the Mic, which is a fellowship for aspiring Black podcasters and producers at Spotify. So it's a career training program because we really, to Verdell's point, you really need diversity on all sides of the microphone to tell appropriate stories, to tell new stories, to innovate. And we also are taking our curriculum and partnering with universities to offer Spotify co-branded podcasting courses. and then offer a pipeline into Spotify for careers for underrepresented students with fellowships, internships, early career opportunities, and maybe even SoundUp. So then this year, I'm really excited to announce we're partnering with Verdell on one of our first ever genre-specific sound-ups for kids and family content. And it's just so important to be reaching these creators, because if we really want to democratize and revolutionize the audio industry, where better than to start with kids and families and let these kids hear and see themselves in these stories and be inspired, understand that this medium and this place is for them, and maybe one day inspire them to be audio creators themselves and use Soundtrap to do it.
And that Sound Up Kids and Family, are applications still open?
Well, Michael, funny you should ask. Actually, yeah.
Because I really want educators in there. I'm very passionate about getting some educators into that one.
I mean, it's such a perfect opportunity too, and like luckily our in-person program is in June this summer, so we're hoping it is perfect for educators. And yes, we still have applications open for just a few days. So if this is interesting to you, or you know the person that it's perfect for, applications are open through this Friday, April 8th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time for the people who want to be down to the wire, but there's still plenty of time. If you go to spotify.com/apply, I'll say that, spotify.com/apply, you'll find a lot more information, and the full application is just right there.
Thanks.
Cool. I just wanted to add, I think it's such a great combination to have everything from, to tie back to your question there as well, on how this relates into Spotify. And I think that the fact that we have parents, we have all ages sort of being consumers and listening to Spotify already. And now we're also, from the very end in the school, making it actually really low entry level to start being creative with audio and to do that on scale. And then have the Sound Up sort of thing where you can actually go into depth and also raise your competence level quite significantly, and then sort of tie that into the artist space. I think that's what really makes this powerful, I think.
Sounds like a really true and deliberate pathway that you've created here. So yeah, I guess you are the dream team, right? Yes, you are. Wow, thank you so much. I mean, just continuously like envisioning that pipeline and that pathway that you are really intentional about and being very strategic about, and the collaboration, because this cannot happen in silos. So I definitely am feeling the love and the collaboration between you all. So write the book on that. Write the playbook for all of us. I'd like to bring it back to Verdell and Jane. You know, Jane, you were talking about Sound Up, and I'm just really excited about Sound Up. So I'd love to see how more school districts can, you know, maybe offer that towards when their high school students are ready to move on. You know, what type of additional content are you looking, you know, to explore in the Accelerator program, and what type of stories might you want to tell in the Accelerator program, or also within the family and kids audio?
Everything. And I'm not being facetious when I say that. I think that the audio space is where publishing was a few years ago, where it was kind of like desperately in need of representation of all kinds. You know, I routinely get the question is just, you know, what are you looking for? And my answer to that is, what do you got? Like, because there's so much white space here, and you know, Jane and I hosted an information session a couple of weeks ago, and I told people, I was like, I want everything. I want stories from different kinds of communities, different kinds of experiences. So when it comes to the Sound Up Kids and Family program, kind of the table stakes is being a BIPOC creator. But beyond that, we're looking for so many other levels of representation, age, religion, socioeconomic background, neurodivergence, like all of that. Like I want all of these things because it just isn't represented in audio right now. So when I say all the things, I truly mean all the things. That's what I'm looking for. And, you know, I'm just really so thankful to Jane and her boss, Natalie, for answering my call. Like, this was the moment I started this job, I knew I wanted to do a kids and family version of Sound Up. And I'm kind of a heat-seeking missile for anyone who knows me. So just kind of showed up on their virtual door one day being like, hey guys, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And like a year and a half later, here we are. And so I'm really excited to see what we're gonna get, because truly we need everything, more of everything.
I mean, that was like the best day when your heat-seeking missile found our door, because, I mean, it's just so exciting to partner with an executive who sees a real opportunity for everyone who's going to go through the program at the end of this. It's not just, like you said, it's not lip service. You really are looking to, enrich these creators and develop these creators and find new stories there. And so it's exciting. And yeah, I mean, whatever Verdell finds, whatever comes to this program is going to be excellent. I think, with Stand Up, we really traditionally have always wanted to make sure we're not trying to make creators come to this program and explain or educate about their identity. We want them to tell whatever story it is that's in their heart, because that is going to be what sustains
100%,
them.
yeah.
And kids are going to know the difference.
Kids are going to know the difference.
Yeah.
And again, it just comes back to elevating audio, right? I tell my team every day, it's like, why do we get up in the morning? We get up to create the gold standard of audio. I'm trying to create the HBO of kids and family content, honestly, and just in terms of like the quality, because what's out there now, there's some stuff that's really great, and there's some stuff that's out there that's not so great. People who think that it's easy to do this, right? And you Google, kids podcasts or whatnot, and you often find a lot of the same usual suspects, and some of those shows are great, and some of them are where they are because they really haven't had a ton of competition. I know that's kind of aggressive, but again, heat-seeking missile. It's really about elevating families' taste and expectations. I think families deserve, like, what is the audio equivalent of like gold-flecked caviar? That's what I want them to come to find at Spotify. Gold-flecked caviar. Not that you would ever eat that, but but just in terms of like the level of quality, I want to raise families' taste level. I want to raise their expectations. I want to educate them about what like a good show is. So in turn, when they come of age, they will get on Soundtrap, and the bar will be raised, right? They will know what a good show sounds like, and they'll be able to create that for themselves and in their own voices. Like, I'm trying to establish the pole position in this space, the pole position, and to just raise the level of competition in terms of what people can expect when they put in their earbuds or when they turn on their smart speaker.
Yeah, so nothing but the best.
Thing but the best.
Nothing but the best.
Gold-flecked caviar.
Excellent. Well, as we start to, wind down our time together, I want you to take a moment, because we're going to start looking ahead. We've been on this journey talking about our next gen, talking about the dynamic programming that's coming our way, that's already here. Let's start thinking about the next 5 years. Okay. What do you anticipate we will be seeing from our next generation of creators, and how do you hope that Spotify, Soundtrap, Sound Up, the family and kid audio will continue to play a role in 5 years from now?
Well, I think one thing that I think of a lot is, like, just as we want to sort of have a pole position and be sort of the leaders and guiding in audio, it's also true that eventually we'll get to a point where we want to break down these barriers between the different medias and make it just as it is when you create without the computer. You're seamlessly going between one or the other. You pick up an instrument, or you do that, or you go and bang a box and record it, or whatever you do. And I want it to be as easy as that. So the technological barriers should be sort of removed, and I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be super exciting to be able to inject that sort of audio creativity level in all different types of media. Because I don't know what they're going to be doing, but the expectation is that it should just work that way. And I think that's a super interesting challenge for us.
I think to take that further too, at Soundtrap, working with school districts, where we see that going in the next 5 years is that students will expect to be able to create audio projects in any subject, not just a music classroom or an audio production classroom. And what we're seeing increasingly more and more are math teachers, English teachers, foreign language teachers wanting to bring creative audio, music making, and storytelling into their classrooms as a rigorous form of assessment and a way for students to really take what they're learning and make it real. And I think that expectation means that these tools have to become available at a wide range. We're just getting started. Soundtrap has 2 million students using the program around the globe, but think about how many more don't have access to these tools. And so 5 years from now, when your math teacher gives you a choice project in a really amazing project-based learning framework, a student's going to say, I want to make a podcast, I want to make a song. And school districts are going to have to be ready to provide easy-to-use and affordable software to help their students do that. And do that in any context. And so I think the end result of that is capturing more voices and capturing more experience. And under this sort of trend of student voice and choice, we really want to be at the center of helping students share what's going on in their lives and their communities and their classrooms and their schools, and then ultimately get that out to the world so that we all get the richness of that experience shared from community to community. So that's, I think, where our head is at for the next 5 years in education.
And also when we make it sort of smarter and more accessible for teachers to make it easier to do this, also going across the different, oh now I completely lost what I was going to say that, so I'm going to leave that and come back.
Cross-curricular, making it available everywhere, yeah.
I know, but that was, okay, there was something else. I will catch it.
I think for Sound Up, when I'm thinking about the next 5 years, what we're hoping, I mean, we do serve 10 participants at a time. What I hope that we're doing is planting seeds. And so many of our alumni have gone on to become podcasters, but some have sought jobs in podcasting. Some are educators and bringing what they've learned back to their communities. Hopefully there'll be more educators. That's spotify.com/apply. Just one more time. But also, you know, some are burgeoning and starting production companies and becoming mentors themselves. And what we're hoping in 5 years, no one will ever be able to tell Verdell again that they can't find a diverse writer, that they can't find a producer for their show.
And I just want to see more kids and family shows of high quality out there. And I want to see empowered creators who have been inspired by things that have gone before and who now are empowered to raise their own voice. That's what I hope to see.
And now I remember. No, I think it's so cool to see that, and now we have a format which is called podcast, and that's okay to say podcast because I mean podcast, and that's basically talk radio, right? And I think what we're saying when we get these tools to the kids, they start to do completely different things. They start to mix do their own little snippets of audio. They use some loops. They start mixing that with audio, and they start to do really a lot of other things that I think is going to set the trend. It's going to set the scene for something new.
It's next generation formats. Some of the work that comes out.
To radio theater.
There is nothing like it, and these kids dream up the next format, the next way to express themselves. It's quite inspiring.
Verdell, you were mentioning the high quality shows and that empowerment. Do you want to leave us with that final thought?
Yeah, I guess my final thought is the subliminal message of audio experience. I'll say it again. I really want everybody to take that from here. It's really about the theme that's been running through all of this is about broadening and democratizing access and creating high quality content that is just like a fully well-rounded audio experience. Like, podcasts are not just interview shows or not just chat shows. Like, there's so much that you can do with this format, and there's so much that you can do to challenge and push things forward. And everybody in this room has a part to play in that expansion, in that creation. So particularly, I want to speak to the educators in the room to, first of all, just thank you for what you do. This country does not compensate you enough for what you do, and it also does not truly respect and appreciate what you do for the next generation. But I think all of you in a position to use audio to give your students a voice and to give them another way to kind of express themselves and another way to execute and actualize the lessons that you're trying to teach them in the classroom. And I really hope that, you know, you'll come alongside us, or allow us to come alongside you, honestly. Allow us to come alongside you in doing your work and empowering this next generation. So that's the last word, honestly, is just thank you to everybody who touches children, and particularly educators. Thank you so much.
Let's give them all a big hand. And now we have our call to action. Again, thank you so much for your words. And let's have a great rest of the ASU+GSV Summit. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.